The problem that they having is like they're having a hard time keeping players on their game. After people hit level 40 in 2 days, I'm off for 2 months.
Not the same, bro. See, I'm one of them old niggas that like the NBA 2K16 and 2K17. Look, if the games were still like that, I'm telling you, if the games were still like that, I'd still be on that motherfucker.
I took a similar break on my 2K channel. I don't want to come back.
NBA 2K was once one of the most appreciated and loved gaming series after constantly innovating and creating new and exciting ideas while executing them beautifully. But now it's nothing more than a cheap ruse to get money and a constant disappointment to their fans.
I don't care.
It's to the point that the content creators that were once so loyal are leaving and not wanting to come back.
2K is going to die if they don't listen to content creators.
The game that went from an up-and-coming basketball game to a gaming giant, NBA 2K's journey has been a roller coaster ride. Despite their mediocre games, they remain the biggest basketball game in the market, leaving the community with limited options. This is the downfall of 2K, from fun to greed. To understand where we're coming from, we have to go through the history of the game of 2K. Made 23 years ago, NBA 2K was made as an up-and-coming basketball game made to rival NBA Live, and at the time, it was just seen as the lesser competitor to NBA Live. Now at this time, the competition meant 2K had to make good games to stay relevant, but still can never break the mold of NBA Live's copycat. That was until 2009 when in 2K10, they added in a multiplayer mode, which was the first installment of my career. This really was the edge 2K needed to get over on NBA Live. This accompanied with EA taking a 2-year break from NBA Live, canceling NBA Live 11 and 12, was a necessary push for them to become the gaming giant they are today. And in the coming years, 2K would add new modes that would solidify them as the best basketball game on the market, and probably the best sports game in general, as NBA 2K11 is deemed by many as the best 2K game ever. Now we know why they're at the spot they are at today, but now let's look at what caused the community to turn their back on 2K. Well, this all starts in NBA 2K18, after the last 3 installments being good, and 2K16 being widely regarded as, again, one of the best basketball games of all time. In NBA 2K18, they got ahead of themselves, and instead of the park they had in prior years, they decided on a neighborhood that in theory sounded amazing. It was a huge ecosystem of players with stores that I could walk in and course I could play on. But when executed on, it was a disaster. The neighborhood was big and hard to navigate and was very laggy, and overall was just an inconvenience. This was also the 2K that they went overkill on microtransactions and the use of VC or their virtual currency. If you wanted a haircut, that was a bill. You wanted a cool new hat, that was a bill. And if you look up on YouTube cheap NBA 2K fits, you will see people barely able to make fits for 50,000 VC now, when in past 2Ks you can make them for less than 3,000 VC. My team now is just a game of who can spend the most money when the game comes out the quickest. This plus 2K20 being a copy and paste replica of 19, 2K21 to 2K23 now just being mediocre, lackluster, and boring, along with 2K having a bunch of glitches that take a long time to be patched, and when they are patched, ruin other aspects of the game. So we're getting the same game with worse performance and having to pay to get a glimpse of the small level of enjoyment that we used to get. But how do they fix this? How do they get the community back on their side? Well, it's simple. Increase fun and decrease practicality. NBA Live 06 dunk contest wasn't practical at all. I mean, throwing a ball off the jumbotron and dunking it from the half court line is not physically possible, but man was it entertaining. And when you compare that to the new NBA 2K dunk contest, it's not even close to as enjoyable. Make the game less like real life and more like a game. And here are some ideas on how to do that. Add an NBA lifestyle dunk contest like I said before, with its own All-Star Weekend mode. We finally have its own mode to play All-Star Weekend instead of having to make an entire different My League just to play it. If I take a wide open shot that are timed okay, they should pretty much always go in. At the end of the day, we're basically NBA players in this game. Why am I missing wide open? Also, give us random crazy dribble moves that are almost impossible to get and can't be spammed. Some new dribbling aspects could really save a game and make it feel more like street ball and something more enjoyable. Also, put a cooldown on dribble moves. I shouldn't see people spamming and gliding across the court to pull up from half court and green it. It still has to be somewhat realistic, and I just shouldn't be speed boosting through all my problems. And lastly, lastly, my most important idea to make the game better, and if you want to listen to any of these, it has to be this one: listen to community feedback and give us what we want right, and this includes taking years to drop a new game that is improved and polished and exactly what we're looking for. Even if this means it takes 5 years for new NBA 2K to drop, I think we'll enjoy this way more than the 1-year improvements you have been making for the last couple years. But at the end of the day, I know they won't do it. While putting out mediocre games, 2K is still the biggest basketball game, which isn't really that impressive when you realize NBA Live hasn't put out a game since 2018 with NBA Live 19, and also seeing that it's almost impossible to make it into the scene as most people don't have the funds to create a game up to the caliber of a 2K or Live, or if they even do have the funds to, 2K will just buy the rights to the game as they did with NBA Playgrounds, or as it is now known as NBA 2K Playgrounds. But to a bigger point, NBA 2K is one of the biggest sports series while having the last couple installments be, albeit mediocre, but also being their biggest money makers. So if they can make a cheap game that doesn't take that much effort and still make millions, why not? Would good competition make 2K good again? Most likely, like it did in the early 2000s. But for 2K to make a really good game that we'll all enjoy, they'll have to listen to what we really want to say. That's all. Peace.